part of our narrative writing video. Yesterday, or earlier today, we worked on our graphic organizer about our insect. So remember, this is my bug named Boris. I talked about what was going to happen first in my story, what was going to happen in the middle of my story, and what was going to happen in the end of my story. So beginning, middle, and end. We also worked on writing our introductory sentence. So the first sentence in our story, and it says, "This is Boris. He is crawling in the grass." So I introduced him as the character, and I also talked about the setting a little bit. I said he's crawling in the grass, so we know he's outside. So now we're gonna write the middle part of our story, okay? So let me draw a line. So I leave space at the top for my picture. Kind of a wonky line there, if that's okay. So now we're gonna write the middle part of our story, and I kind of forgot what I was gonna write as my middle part of my story. So I'm gonna go back to my graphic organizer, and I'm gonna look at the picture to remind myself. So, oh, that's right, yes. Boris meets a butterfly and they become friends. So I'm gonna write just that. Boris meets a butterfly. So I'm going to start with a capital B because Boris is a very important character with a very important name. So he gets a capital letter in the first letter in his name. Boris. Finger spaces. Don't forget the finger spaces. Meets. E. Meets. I used my estimated spelling. Boris meets a, butterfly is a long word. Do you think I'm gonna have space to write it here? Maybe if I wrote really small, but I don't think I'm gonna have enough space. So I'm gonna do a return sweep, and I'm gonna write the word butterfly down here. Oh wait, I think I know the spelling. Well, let me use my estimated spelling. Butterfly. And that's the end of my sentence, so I'm gonna put a period. Boris meets a butterfly. Now that could be all I put in the middle of my story, but I think I'm gonna add a little more information, a little more detail. So Boris meets a butterfly and they become friends. So I'm gonna write they, and you can start right after the period. Don't forget, you don't need any finger spaces or to start on a new line. You can start right after the period, okay? They become, finger space, become friends. Fur, it's a blend, that's F-R. Fur, Here we go, and just like good writers do, we have to reread our writing. Boris meets a butterfly. They become friends. I think that's pretty good for the middle of my story. Now remember, you can use your estimated spelling, but if you happen to know the dictionary spelling for maybe a word like friends or maybe become or meets, it's okay to use dictionary spelling if you know it. But if you don't, use your estimated spelling. All right, now my picture I draw up here needs to match my writing. When I was thinking of my story, I was thinking that Boris and the butterfly would become friends at a flower. They would crawl, Boris is crawling across the grass. So here's my squiggly lines to make the grass. Here's my flower that they're gonna meet at. And here's Boris kind of looking up where the butterfly is, smiling. The antennae. Here's his thorax. Thorax and his abdomen. Oh, there's the legs. Okay, and here's my beautiful butterfly. which we happen to be learning about this week. Our little caterpillars that are in their chrysalis or chrysalids, and we're waiting for them to change. So here's my beautiful butterfly, and now they're becoming friends. Since they're outside, I'm gonna add a little more detail to my picture, like a beautiful sun and some clouds, because it's a sunny spring day, okay? All right, so this is the middle of my story, and after this, we'll talk about the end of our story, because it's time to wrap it up, all right? Chrysalis watch. No change yet. All right, now it's time to write the end of our story, okay? We wrote the beginning, we wrote the middle, and now we're gonna write the end. So I'm gonna draw my line, top of my page, because I wanna leave space up here for a picture at the end. Now, I remember by looking at the pictures, what happened first, what happened next, and what's gonna happen last. I remember that the butterfly flies away and Boris crawls home. So I'm gonna write a sentence that says, the butterfly flies away. That's gonna be my first sentence. The finger spaces, butterfly, fly. The butterfly flies. Full eyes. Oh, I might be able to squeeze in the word away there, but I'm a little worried about space. So I'm just going to come down to the next line. Away. Period. This is one action that happened, one thing that happened. The butterfly flies away. So now I'm going to make Boris crawl home. So I'm going to start my sentence right after the period, the capital B for Boris. Boris crawls home. Oh, I remember bossy E has to go at the end of this word, because if it wasn't there, this would be hom. So once I add that E at the end, it makes the first vowel say its own name. So when the E is at the end, the first vowel says its name. So now it says home. Period at the end. Let's read what we wrote. The butterfly flies away. Boris crawls home. I think that's a pretty good ending. So now I'm going to draw that in my picture, my illustration. I remember Boris has been in the grass this whole time, crawling along. Here's the flower that they were on, or next to. And I know I'm drawing kind of quickly, but I want you to take your time and do your best job. Draw a nice illustration for your picture. And now I'm going to make him turning the other direction. He's so happy because he made a new friend. Thorax, abdomen, here's his 6 legs, stripes, his little spots. And then our little butterfly friend over here is going to be flying away. Because that's what they do. They fly from place to place. They're so happy that they met each other. Okay, and I remember the sun is shining, but maybe the clouds have moved because the wind might be blowing them. Okay, so that's the picture, the illustration to reflect what's going on in my story. There's one last thing we need to do. We need to make a fun cover for our story, just like authors do when they write and publish a book. They make a cover, okay? And the first thing you need to do is give your story a title to go on the top of your cover. I think this story is mostly about Boris the bug. So I think I'm just gonna title it that, Boris the bug. I'm going to use a capital B. I'm going to write Boris. And then I'm going to use a lowercase t for the. And then the last word is bug. And this is kind of tricky, but all the words in a title need to be uppercase letters, except for small, short words that are about 2 or 3 letters, okay? Boris the bug. Now I can draw an illustration of Boris. There's his head. I'm gonna draw his eyes, kind of like my little craft over here. His antennae coming up. He has a big smile because he's so happy. Here's his thorax with giant spots on it. And here's his abdomen, which almost to me looks like a little bit of a long triangle or like candy corn almost. Okay, and he has 6 legs coming out of his thorax. Remember, to be an insect, you have to have 6 legs. All right, one last thing at the bottom. All illustrators and authors have to write their name on the cover. And since you're an author now and an illustrator too, you're gonna need to put your name on the cover to be proud of your work. So I'm gonna write by, because the story is by me, okay? And we put a little colon here. By, and I'm gonna write Mrs. Phillips. Okay, so I think our story is done. We have our title page now. We have a beginning, a middle, and an end to our story. The only thing missing is some coloring. I could use some color because I remember Boris the bug was very, very colorful, okay? One thing I wanted to tell you too before we're done with this video is to make sure you use a graphic organizer whenever you're going to write a story so that you can organize your ideas before you try to write. It really helps when you're writing a new story. And also, I wanted to point out in this narrative story, we didn't use these transition words, first, next, and last. But on our next story, we will use those transition words. Sometimes you read stories and they don't actually have first, next, last in them, like the one I just wrote for you here. So try working on your own story now. Try writing your own creative story about your insect, okay? Doesn't have to be the exact same storyline as mine or have the same characters, but make up a story about an insect. All right, have a great job. Try your best.